bill. Joining me now, Democratic Congressman Khanna of California. He's a member of the Oversight and Armed Services Committee. Congressman, good to see you again. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Great to be on.
Congressman, let's talk about this. This particular bill, unpopular. It's polling it's unpopular. Republicans know it's unpopular. They've argued about it, whether it's because it increases the debt by more than they would like, or the deficit, or because it cuts rural spending or health care spending or Medicaid. But it's still passed. Talk to me about this, because you're going out there, you're going to talk to people in red districts. Are you going to tell them something they don't know, or do they know how bad this is?
I've got two names for you, Thomas Massie and Senator Tillis, and that explains why this bill passed. It passed because of fear, because the reality is when you cross Donald Trump, when you say anything against him, Donald Trump unleashes his entire political apparatus and says, I'm going to spend $20 million against you and get you out. That's what he did to Thomas Massie when Massie opposed him on this bill in the war in Iran. And Tillis, who knew that this bill would doom his chances in North Carolina, as soon as he said something, basically was forced into retirement. So I don't think that the full scope of these cuts are known to people in these districts because, of course, their own members aren't talking about them. They don't know that their premiums are going to go up, even private insurance, because hospitals are going to be charging private insurance more to make up for the Medicaid cuts. They don't know that anyone who's on the Affordable Care Act is going to have a premium increase. They don't know that some of the hospital services are going to cut. And I think it's important for Democrats to get out there, not to tell, but to show, to talk to people who are going to have higher premiums, who are losing health care, and to uplift those stories.
So let's talk about the math here. This is a $4+ trillion tax cut that Republicans would have you think is not really an addition to the deficit, because they don't apparently like doing that. At the expense, and even the Medicaid cuts don't even come close to making up for that tax cut. But it is an upward transfer of wealth. Then we've got the conversation I was just having about Donald Trump selling everything under the sun to everybody. And then we've got the deregulation, not just of crypto, which you understand very well, but just generally speaking, deregulation. This is one big grift, but it's also one big gift to the billionaires in this country.
It is. I mean, it's the first bill in modern history that actually makes working class folks and poor folks, low income folks, poorer, and takes that money and gives it to the billionaires in my district who don't need it, who actually should be taxed more, not taxed less. I mean, the Bush tax cuts and Trump's first tax cuts, they were just disproportionate. They gave more tax cuts to the wealthy and very meager tax cuts to the working class. This is worse. This takes away from the working class and the low-income Americans and gives that money to the richest Americans. It is so brazen. It is just terrible, terrible policy, and it's going to hurt most Ali, our kids, because they're the ones who are going to be in families who are in a poverty trap, who aren't getting health care, aren't getting food security. Whatever you think about the parents, it's the kids that are going to suffer, and it's this country that's going to suffer as a result.
So given the dissatisfaction around this bill amongst Republicans and Democrats, and by the way, amongst people who are going to be hit by this, who are also going to be disproportionately Republicans, why does Donald Trump make a statement like he did today to say, I'm more powerful than I was before, I've got more power over these members of Congress? There doesn't even seem to be any sort of sense that justice will come as a result of this. Tell me how this plays out to you.
Well, he is more powerful. I mean, it's amazing. It was an artificial deadline, July 4th.
Yep.
There was no reason to do it. And he gets every Republican so fearful of him to be in line. Now, what's sad about Donald Trump, I mean, it just from a sense of as an American, you're a second-term president and you're selling fragrance? Like, I mean, I'd rather you try to be on Mount Rushmore. Isn't that what second-term presidents usually do? They want to care about history. You're leading the greatest nation in the history of humanity, and you're concerned about fragrance sales. It's the tackiness. It's the pettiness of it that is the most disturbing, more than the corruption. It's the lack of the understanding of the awesome responsibility of leading the greatest nation in the world. And you have an entire comatose Republican Party that, like minions, are following him. And, you know, the biggest loser in all of this is actually J.D. Vance, because the cuts actually go most into effect some before the midterms, but most into effect in 2027 and
Right.
2028. Donald Trump may not face the consequences, but this basically has killed J.D. Vance's aspirations for higher office. And I think it was shocking to me that he went along casting the decisive vote.
Khanna, good to see you. Let's stay in touch as you're talking to people across the country and see what you're hearing. Congressman Khanna.